While members of the political camp of former Nigerian Vice President Atiku Abubakar are this morning revealing in the fact that he has again secured the nomination of the party to stand in next year's presidential election as a standard bearer. The former number 2 man to President Olusegun Obasanjo has since 1993 made numerous attempts to capture the presidency of Africa's most populous country. He won most ballots from PDP party delegates who voted in a primary election in Abuja last night. Following his victory, Abubakar told the crowd he wanted to be a candidate of unity.
Now you will recall on the 23rd of March this year, when I stood before you and Nigerians and declared my interest to run for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In that statement, I made a commitment to 5 issues. 1, to pledge to unify this country. And that was why I referred myself as a unifier. The reason why I feel and I felt that unity is very important for us is because the government of the APC has disunited Nigerians completely between North and South, East and West, Muslims and Christians. And I therefore pledge that I will work to ensure I restore unity and I give a sense of belonging to all Nigerians irrespective of their places of origin and irrespective of the faith they practice. I also committed that I was going to deal decisively with our security challenges in this country. I also pledged to confront our economic challenges, which were all caused by the APC government. The PDP made Nigeria one of the most prosperous, or if not the prosperous country on the African continent. We implemented economic reforms that brought about jobs, that brought about prosperity in this country. The APC came and wiped out all those gains. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why I said today is a very, very historic day, because it is going to give us an opportunity for us to reverse all the misgovernance of the APC government. Let me also use this opportunity to call on my fellow contestants and to assure them that I am ready to cooperate and work with them and give them a sense of belonging in this party and our next government. Therefore, my fellow compatriots, I want to appreciate your efforts in deepening our democratic processes in this party. It was a well-fought primary elections. So I commend you for that, and I look forward to working with you very closely so that together we can build this party to a level where we can take over the government. As I said earlier on in my remarks, I want to appeal to all aggrieved members of our party that they should please return to our party, and we are willing, we are ready, the leadership of the party, our governors and myself, to make sure that their grievances are resolved within the party.
Well, I guess congratulations are in order, Steve and Avi, right, for Atiku Abubakar. At this point, you know, he's been termed the unifier, and he made that clear in his speech right there. But how much of a factor would you say that the stepping down of governor of Sokoto State, who is also the chairman of the PDP's Governors Forum, you know, he stepped down yesterday, shockingly, right? How much of a factor do you think that contributed to his win? And also, how much of a factor was the ad hoc delegates? I believe that, you know, the fact that there was no statutory delegates voting at this point, I think it kind of affected the votes at this point. What's your take on that?
Absolutely, Oji, in a way, yes. First and foremost, Atiku is the one calling himself the unifier.
He is,
you know, but that's okay, because I think the party will need a good dose of unity, given what happened and what Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, did. And that's instructive, because if you recall, 4 years ago in Port Harcourt, Governor Nyesom Wike stuck out his neck for Aminu Tambuwal against Atiku Abubakar, and it took former President Goodluck Jonathan to practically plead with Wike to support Atiku. But then, you know, it was very clear that Aminu Tambuwal was his candidate. And then what happened yesterday? If Aminu Tambuwal had stepped down and basically said, oh, at this point, I do not think that I have the wherewithal to win this primary, I therefore would like to step down. Maybe that would have been more politically correct, rather than now urging his supporters to vote for Atiku. A lot of people will think that that's a direct stab and a betrayal of, you know, the friendship or political alliance that he had with Governor Wike. But then look at what Governor Wike pulled, 237, you know, votes, which was no mean feat. I mean, that was strong. Would all the votes from Tambuwal's delegates, would they have gone to Wike if he had not stepped down? Will they have amounted to up to 120 or 150 to have tipped the thing? It is not likely. But then a 300 to a 371 of Atiku will have looked like, oh, this indeed are the two key candidates. But then Tambuwal, you know, blew it up for Wike. And he says, this is the man that the North wants, and I'm queuing behind him. If you look at it in another way, it was a smart move. Politics, no doubt, you know, direct politics. And what Tambuwal is saying is that there is a whole lot of difference between political science and politics. That was raw politics. Aminu Tambuwal is barely 55. He's young. In about 8 years' time, he will still be eligible to run. And he felt that, you know, the entire North will be thinking Atiku is our best chance as far as PDP is concerned. You know, so I think that that's a smart move. In any case, this is his second term as the governor. If PDP peradventure wins next year, it means that a ministerial or something like that, you know, will be waiting for him, rather than gamble on the Wike, who, as we know, it would be a tough call, frankly speaking, even if Wike had won, you know, given his brashness, given his excesses, you know, and if you like, eccentricities, that he will have been considered as an ideal candidate and an ideal president, you know, for the country. So, for me, it was politics. What's left will be how much of a unifier can Atiku be, given that Obi is no longer there, Abaribe has stepped out, Ekure Madu has gone. The challenge, therefore, will be in trying to unify the party. Who will be his choice as a running mate?
That's the question.
You know what I mean? I mean, the other time it was Obi, and he picked Obi in spite of the subtle reservation from other Southeast governors. But then Obi is no longer there. Obi is generally, even though a lot of people will say he's a paper tiger, but he's generally perceived to be like a different kind of politician and possibly the best, you know, choice from the Igbo land. Now that Obi has gone to Labour, is it likely that Atiku will pick an Igbo running mate? But then if he does not pick an Igbo running mate, it simply means that the entire Southeast bloc, you know, has lost out completely. And this is the only bloc that is like a 95, almost 100% for PDP up until 2019. What's the deal, therefore, for the Igbos? If he picks a Wike, can an Atiku deal with a Wike with the kind of, personality of a Wike as vice president? If he therefore says, okay, I'm not doing Wike and I'm not going to Southeast, who therefore will it be? The Akwa Ibom State Governor, Udom Emmanuel, or Delta State Governor, who was right beside him, yesterday, last night, Okowa. Again, what is the totality of the votes from the South-South compared to the one of Southeast? And don't forget that the bulk of the voting power of the Southeast are not within the zone, in the Southeast. They're in Lagos, they're in Abuja, they're all over the country. If he does not pick an Igbo candidate, what will that say to the millions and millions of Igbo voters who are not necessarily resident within the Southeast? Lastly, for me, a lot of people think that, it didn't come as a surprise. But a lot of people think that it's for, this is for Atiku. But then I say that don't let us write off the new and the younger generation of voters. In 2019, those who were 15, 16 are now 19, 20. Maybe there is an advantage in NSAS of 2 years ago. Maybe they have now en masse registered and collected their PVC. Those folks don't know Atiku. Those folks don't know Tinubu. Those folks hardly know, the big names that we are talking about. And if we look at statistics, they constitute a good chunk of the voting bloc, given that in the last 4 election cycles, we've never reached 40% of those who registered. So if we have a new wave of younger generation of voters, the possibility to think that, this fellow was 44 30 years ago when he first ran to be president. He will be 76 by the time he's been sworn in, if he wins next year. 18, 17, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, I'm not so sure if they will be swayed by that, those kind of candidacy. So how will an Atiku, for example, appeal to the new and younger generation of voters who possibly have the ace to determine who will become the president? And then what lessons will the APC learn? They knew, of course, that except something radical happened yesterday, it was going to be Atiku. Now that they have an advantage of 6 more days to decide who will be their own candidate, what will be APC's challenge and response to the second coming, or shall we say the 6th coming of Atiku? As they say, Atiku is coming.
Atiku is beautiful and very apt analysis of yesterday's event, Steve, on that, because that was actually very spot on. But there were so many unexpected turns. For me, the concern would be unifying Nigeria, which is what Atiku is saying. This is my big mandate right now, considering the fact that there are going to be new factions and new politicking. We've seen a lot of that happen already. And that's politics in its real sense, playing out. Very interesting, and so much more is going to happen as we continue to watch. Again, I'm still sticking to what I said yesterday. Strategy is involved.
I like your word, strategy. But also, I think that it was quite instructive. His victory speech there, he did call on aggrieved members that have left the PDP to return. That there are internal mechanisms within the party to, solve whatever issues that they had. And I felt like it was a direct message to Peter Obi. Didn't you feel like that when he was saying that?
It sounded like that.
Yes.
But what would be the deal for Peter Obi?
I don't know.
I would say it's a direct message to a number of people.
What would be the deal for the other governors who have either picked a senatorial seat or are looking forward to be ministers under APC? What will be the attraction? What will be the incentive?
Yes.
It will be a tough call, frankly speaking. At the moment, APC has 22 states as against 14, of PDP. To win, you will need a lot more than appeal to people who have left to return. Because for you to win at the general elections, you will need a minimum of 18 to 19 states. That would be a tough call.
Yes.
If APC manages to pick a candidate that will not rankle, the rank and file of the party. Because what it simply means is that there will be distribution of promises. There will be distribution of juicy, somebody will be SGF, somebody, people will be ministers, there will be a vice president. And I don't think, as people tend to say glowingly, that it's only one person in APC that can confront Atiku. For me, I mean, a politician is a politician. Sometimes these people are overrated. And as I said, people in their 70s thinking that because they are the biggest names in their parties and in the media, forgetting that more than 50% of the potential voters are new voters, are youthful voters.
Absolutely.
Who are not swayed, by the Babarigas and the Agbadas and the designer caps.
But they do love a Peter Obi. Those young voters, they do.
So it seems, but then if we go with Reno was saying yesterday, don't confuse popularity online, with the capacity to draw out the voters.
Well, that's just one man's opinion. Reno Omokri is just one man out of many.
Absolutely. We won't know until it tests.
Yes,
it truly tests.
Absolutely.
But then
they did garner a lot of votes in the last election, if you remember that ticket, Atiku and Obi.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
I totally agree with you, Oji, which is also what I say when Atiku comes up and says, "Oh, I'm coming with an 11 million vote bank," and I'm saying that's not just your vote. It was you and Peter Obi. We do not know, how much of the component.
Let's talk about how that actually looks on Peter Obi as well. If he does return to the party, what are your sentiments around that? How does that
returns to PDP?
Yes, if going by what Oji is suggesting, to say, could it be a direct call for him to return to the party? That opens up a whole lot of new questions around his credibility. Is like, can you be in one place? What exactly is what's your vehicle?
But I mean, Peter Obi has been in consultations with a lot of godfathers, and they've told him he should be a president.
His own man.
Yes, he should be his own man. But today, this day is reporting that, President Muhammadu Buhari may next week pick a consensus candidate, and that person may be former President Goodluck Jonathan. I mean, really interesting times ahead. We haven't
seen anything yet.
I don't know what's going to happen.
If that happens, Oji,
yes.
Again, there will be no surprises. And there was an indication last night. Former President Goodluck Jonathan was not at the PDP convention, yesterday. That says a lot. That's weighty.
Yes.
In spite of all the deniers and the reluctance by some of his people to accept that Goodluck Jonathan might want to return, I believe that he would like to return. I know for a fact that he's been consulting and he has had useful meetings, with key people in the APC.
Yes.
But then the challenge will be, how smart will they be to force him on those who have built the party since 2013, those who have invested their time and resources. But then it's a deal. Politics is give and take. If they share the promises appropriately, I think that there might be, compromises here and there. And the candidacy of a Goodluck Jonathan works good for the North. It works good for the North. But then will a Jonathan on APC's ticket with a strong running mate from the North confront an Atiku Wike or an Atiku Udomimane or Atiku Okowa? I think that that's doable, because to the North, you still want to be seen to be a bit fair. Will Atiku be their best deal, or give it to a Southerner who has barely 4 years to do, and who, frankly speaking, will be a figurehead president?
Absolutely.
And then he returns to the North for another 8 years. I think that sounds, charming, to many Northerners. But then we'll see what happens at the APC convention. It's interesting.
It's a movie.
Very, very interesting.
It's a complete movie.